There is a rhythm to life that cannot be rushed. But in today's world, we've forgotten that rhythm. We've traded depth for speed, wisdom for urgency, peace for performance. We celebrate the quick win, the overnight success, the instant gratification, and we wonder why our souls feel exhausted and our victories feel empty. We have been taught that faster is better, that immediate results mean you're winning, that if it takes time, it must not be working. But here's the truth. Anything truly great, anything that lasts takes time. A tree does not bear fruit the day after it's planted. A masterpiece is not painted in a minute. And a life of meaning cannot be built on the foundation of impatience. Because patience is not weakness. Patience is not passivity. Patience is power. It is the fireproof confidence that says, I do not need it to happen now, because I know it will happen in time. Patience is the belief that delay is not denial, that process is not punishment, that what is meant for you is already in motion, but it moves at the speed of alignment, not anxiety. And when you understand this, when you live this, your entire world changes. You stop chasing timelines. You start trusting timing. You stop comparing your pace to others. You start honoring the pace of your own path. Because the rush is where mistakes are made. The rush is where clarity is lost. The rush is where you trade your values for validation. But patience gives you back your vision. It gives you permission to slow down long enough to hear your own voice again, to make decisions from wisdom instead of panic, to grow roots before you reach for fruit. And that's where greatness is born in the rooted. In the people who do the deep, slow, consistent work when no one's watching. In the people who don't post their progress, but live it. In the people who have the courage to walk slowly because they know exactly where they're going. That kind of patience is rare. It's not taught in schools. It's not rewarded on social media. But it is the trait that separates those who last from those who flash. Because while others burn bright and burn out, the patient build empires. They plant seeds. They show up every day. They work in silence. They wait without bitterness. They persist without pressure. And then one day, while others are still scrolling, still chasing, still hoping, the patient arrive. Not because they were faster, but because they were faithful. Faithful to the process. Faithful to the purpose. Faithful to themselves. And that kind of faith, it cannot be faked. It cannot be forced. It is forged day by day, choice by choice, thought by thought in the soul of someone who understands. The world may be fast, but my vision is eternal. So I will not rush. I will not fold. I will not trade what is sacred for what is shiny. Because I am not here for speed. I am here for substance. And substance takes time. Character takes time. Mastery takes time. Peace takes time. But time is not your enemy. It is your ally. It is the silent architect building what you cannot yet see. And if you can learn to walk with time, not against it, you will become unstoppable. Because when you walk with time, truly walk with it, you begin to feel something rare. You feel peace in the waiting. You feel purpose in the pause. You feel progress, even when the world sees none. And that feeling, that's your power. Because patience is not about sitting idle. It's about moving with intention. It's about making every step count. Every breath mean something. Every moment become a brick in the foundation of your future. It's about understanding that urgency is often a mask for fear. But patience is a mirror of trust. Trust in your path. Trust in your process. Trust in your preparation. And most of all, trust in yourself. Because if you don't trust yourself, you'll try to skip steps. You'll try to force outcomes. You'll start climbing ladders that aren't even leaning against the right wall. You'll call it ambition. But it's not ambition, it's avoidance. Avoidance of the stillness. Avoidance of the season of becoming. Avoidance of the inner work that no one else sees but that everyone feels. Because if you've skipped the work, it shows. It shows in your relationships. It shows in your reactions. It shows in your resistance to anything that doesn't come fast or feel easy. But the people who build real impact, the kind that outlasts trends, the kind that survives, setbacks, those people are masters of patience. They understand that evolution is seasonal, that wisdom is layered, that the best things take time to ripen, to root, to reveal themselves. They understand that you don't manifest greatness by demanding it to appear. You manifest greatness by becoming the kind of person who's worthy of receiving it. And that becoming takes time. So stop asking, how long will it take? Start asking, how deep am I willing to go? Because depth is the new speed. Depth is what makes you unshakable. Depth is what gives your voice authority. Depth is what makes you stand out in a world of shallow sprints. And depth, it requires patience. Patience to sit in the discomfort. Patience to stay when you feel unseen. Patience to keep building when no one believes in you yet. Because belief doesn't always come before the breakthrough. Sometimes it's the breakthrough that requires belief. And belief is fueled by patience. The patience to keep believing even when the evidence hasn't caught up yet. To keep moving even when the rewards haven't arrived yet. To keep speaking, creating, showing up because you are the reward. You are what's becoming. You are what's unfolding. And you are not late. You are not behind. You are becoming. So don't rush your rise. Don't force your flow. Don't try to fast forward your way to fulfillment. Live every step. Feel every moment. Honor every phase. Because mastery is not built in the highlight reels. It's built in the repetition. It's built in the quiet. It's built in the days when you want to quit but don't. And when you build like that, when you master patience, not as a tactic, but as a way of being, you become magnetic. You become powerful. You become whole. Not because everything came quickly, but because you were willing to wait and work for everything that mattered. Because what truly matters isn't what arrives quickly, it's what stays. The fleeting victories, they fade. The viral moments, they vanish. But the character you build through patience, that's permanent. The trust you cultivate in yourself when no one's clapping, the stillness you master when everything around you is screaming, the discipline you develop when there's no deadline, no audience, no instant payoff, that's the foundation your legacy is built on. Because here's what most won't tell you. The world isn't lacking in people who want success. It's lacking in people who are willing to wait for it, to suffer through the tension of not yet, to endure the awkwardness of the in-between, to stay loyal to the long game in a culture obsessed with shortcuts. But you're different now. You don't confuse movement with meaning. You don't confuse urgency with importance. You don't confuse fast with fulfilled. Because you know the most powerful version of yourself isn't rushed. It's refined. It's sculpted in silence, sharpened in solitude, formed in faith. And when you learn to be patient with your own process, you unlock something rare, something most people never find. Inner peace. Not peace that depends on results. Not peace that's bought by external validation. But peace that lives in your bones because you know you're walking your path. You know you're building the real thing. And real takes time. So let the world rush. Let them chase. Let them burn out sprinting to nowhere. You'll walk in wisdom. You'll walk with weight. You'll walk with the kind of presence that only comes from a soul at ease with its own pace. Because when you master patience, you master your relationship with time. And when you master time, you master life. You stop aging in anxiety and you start growing in awareness. You start choosing investments over impulses. You start prioritizing alignment over attention. You start living like your future matters. Because it does. And the future that's waiting for you, that version of your life that's bigger, deeper, richer, it's not waiting for the fastest you. It's waiting for the faithful you, the you who doesn't flinch when it's slow, the you who doesn't fold when it's quiet, the you who can hold the vision through all the valleys. That's the you that builds legacies. That's the you that becomes the example. That's the you that the world can trust, not because you arrive fast, but because you arrive whole. So hold your pace. Honor your process. Protect your peace. And remember, you're not running late. You're right on time for the version of life that only unfolds for those who were patient enough to grow into it. Because what's unfolding isn't just a life, it's a legacy. One decision at a time, one breath at a time, one unseen, unfelt, uncelebrated moment of persistence at a time. This is where the real ones are made, in the days that don't look like progress, in the nights filled with questions, in the slow, sacred grind of becoming. And every second you choose patience, you're not losing time, you're compounding power. Power that builds beneath the surface. Power that stacks in silence. Power that cannot be taken, faked, or rushed because it's real. And you'll know it's real when things begin to align, not all at once, but undeniably. When people start asking how you stayed so grounded, when they wonder why your energy feels unshakable, when they start calling it grace or luck or talent, but you'll know it was patience. Patience that held the vision. Patience that trusted the seed. Patience that said, I'd rather wait and rise with truth than rush and fall with noise. Because you weren't building for applause. You were building for impact. And impact doesn't rush. It roots. It roots in discipline. It roots in clarity. It roots in you doing the hard thing, the slow thing, the thing no one sees, but everything is built upon. So stay rooted. Stay faithful. Stay focused. Because what you water now becomes the forest you walk through tomorrow. What you protect now becomes the fruit your future self gets to harvest. What you endure now becomes the story someone else clings to when they're on the verge of giving up. You are not just building for you. You're building for every soul who will rise because they saw someone who didn't fold. You're building for every generation that will inherit your example. You're building a future that will only exist because you were patient enough to become it. So breathe. Keep walking. Keep planting. And when the voice of urgency returns sand, it will. When it tells you to rush, to force, to compromise, smile and return to your pace. Return to your power. Return to the truth you now carry in every cell of your being. The art of patience isn't about waiting. It's about who you become while you wait. And the one you're becoming, they are worth the time. They are worth the struggle. They are worth the silence. They are worth every single second you chose progress over pressure. Because the person you are becoming isn't fragile. They don't break in the dark. They build in the dark. They don't just dream, they design. And while others are chasing quick, cheap, hollow, you are crafting something eternal. A life that speaks without shouting. A presence that commands without control. A soul so rooted that even the storms start to lose interest. That's the reward of patience. You don't just survive the weight, you transcend it. You don't just endure delay, you emerge from it refined. And you stop being just another voice in the noise. You become the stillness in the chaos, the clarity in the confusion, the anchor in the drift. Because patience makes you magnetic in a world addicted to rushing. While others exhaust themselves trying to be seen, you gain power in the unseen. While others scream for results, you become the kind of person who attracts them without forcing. Because you've done the work. The internal work. The daily, ordinary, invisible work of becoming someone whose life can hold weight. Because what's the use of success you're not ready to carry? What's the use of arrival when you skip the becoming? You didn't come this far to fake depth. You came to live it. To walk in rooms with peace, not pretense. To hold space for others. Because you learned to hold it for yourself. To speak not from impulse, but from integrity. And that integrity, It was bought with time, with years of small, quiet, faithful decisions that no one else saw, but that you will feel forever. And now that you've built this foundation, you carry something that doesn't fade. It doesn't depend on applause, algorithms, or approval. It is yours. It is real. It is earned. So never let the world convince you that patience is weakness. Never let the noise convince you that stillness is stagnation, because you now know the truth. Patience is strength wrapped in silence. Patience is power disguised as peace. And the ones who master it, they don't just succeed. They transform. They shift atmospheres. They birth movements. They build the future, not by force, but by faith. And now that you've seen what's possible, now that you've felt what's real, now that you've tasted the depth of a life not rushed, but rooted, you will never go back. You will never settle for surface. You will never trade presence for performance. You will never again forget. You were never behind. You were always becoming, and the art of that becoming was always built in the waiting. So now let them rush. Let them chase. Let them sprint from one hollow wind to the next, chasing validation like water in a desert. You don't need to run anymore. You've remembered the truth. The truth that time is not your enemy, it is your engine. That growth is not a race, it's a revelation. That what is meant for you will not require force, it will require faith. And faith is patient. Faith is still. Faith is the quiet conviction that whispers, even when I see nothing, I am becoming everything. So live like someone who knows that now. Walk like you've already arrived in spirit and the world is just catching up. Speak like you've mastered the rhythm of silence. Decide like time is your partner, not your problem. And breathe, like someone who's no longer chasing time, but flowing with it. Because the greatest things in life, the kind of love that lasts, the kind of success that sustains, the kind of legacy that echoes, they are not rushed. They are cultivated. They are built with intention, nurtured with care, and rooted in a patience the world can't fake. And you've chosen that path. You've chosen the kind of life that doesn't burn fast and fade out, but that glows slowly, fiercely, and forever. So let them wonder how you did it. Let them ask what your secret is. You won't need to explain. You won't need to convince. You'll just keep showing up, slow and steady, focused and free, rooted and rising. And the world will know, without a doubt, you mastered the one thing that most never will. The one thing that changes everything. You mastered the art of patience in a fast-paced world. And in doing so, you became unshakable. Unshakable, no, because everything worked out fast, but because you worked within. Because when the winds of urgency blew hard, you didn't bend, you breathed. When the world shouted, hurry, you whispered back, I trust. And that trust built something timeless inside you. Something no algorithm can outdate. No market can crash. No timeline can pressure. Because your foundation isn't built on speed, it's built on substance. And from this place, you create differently. You love differently. You lead differently. You build not from the need to prove, but from the need to pour. You're no longer trying to be ahead of anyone. You're aligned with everyone you're meant to impact. And the irony? In slowing down, you sped up everything that actually mattered. Your vision became clearer. Your decisions became stronger. Your peace became permanent. Because you were no longer reacting, you were responding. No longer addicted to the rush, you were in rhythm with your rise. And this rhythm, it's divine. It's sustainable. It's yours. You found the secret the world tries to sell, but can't manufacture. The soul doesn't move at the speed of signal. It moves at the speed of spirit. And now that you've tuned into that frequency, your life will never be the same. You'll carry a calm that softens the noise, a strength that doesn't shake with storms, a wisdom that walks ahead of your words, because you've become the person who doesn't just survive the pressure, you redefine it. You've built a presence that holds space for others to slow down, to exhale, to breathe, to remember that it's okay to not have it all now, that it's powerful to wait, that it's strong to be soft, that it's brave to trust timing over tactics. And in a world starving for depth, you've become the example of what it means to build something real. So keep building, keep walking, keep mastering the art of patience for the world's approval, but for your soul's alignment, because that's where the gold is, not in the outcome, but in who you become on the way there. And who you've become? Unrushed, unbothered, unstoppable. Now go live that truth. Go build with that fire. Go lead with that stillness. And let the world feel the weight of your patience. Because you didn't just wait, you became, and now everything is unfolding right on time. Right on Motivational, according to the world's clock, but according to your soul's calendar. Because you've understood something that most never will. That every delay had a lesson. That every pause held preparation. That every quiet stretch was growing something louder than applause authenticity. And now you wear that authenticity like armor. You don't chase relevance. You radiate resonance. You don't sprint for attention. You stand in alignment. You don't need to be the first because you've already become the most faithful. And in a world that rewards speed, your stillness is your strength. Your patience is your protest. Your presence is your power. And the reward, it's not just in what you've gained. It's in who you've become. You've become someone who no longer fears slow seasons because you've seen what they shape. You've become someone who doesn't flinch when the results take time because you've learned that truth takes longer to build. You've become someone who doesn't collapse when recognition doesn't come because you're no longer building for recognition. You're building for reverence, for something that will outlive applause, for something that will outlast the trends, for something that will anchor others long after your time here is done. Because patience doesn't just change your pace, it changes your posture. You no longer ask, when will it happen? You ask, how can I become the person who's ready for it when it does? And that shift, that's when everything begins to unfold effortlessly. Because life doesn't give you what you want. It gives you who you are. And when who you are is steady, grounded, present, wise, life responds. Doors open, hearts soften, visions clarify, and the pressure to keep up fades into the peace of showing up fully, showing up calmly, showing up with a power no storm can touch. So when others rush to the next thing, you stay, you breathe, you trust, because you've mastered the art of patience in a world that doesn't understand it. And because of that, you are no longer on time. You are the time, the moment, the message, the rhythm, and your presence alone is the permission others have been waiting for. To slow down, to go deep, to become. So thank you for doing the slow work, for choosing the long road, for showing us all that the fastest way to live is to live fully, unrushed, unshaken, unmistakably you. And now there is nothing left to chase. Because you are no longer reaching for the future, you are inhabiting it. Fully, freely, fiercely. You are the embodiment of everything you once tried to rush toward. The strength you sought, you built it. The peace you craved, you became it. The clarity you waited for, you earned it. And it all came not because you moved faster, but because you moved truer. You aligned with your highest self, not by outrunning your weakness, but by walking with it patiently. And that walk changed everything. It gave you depth. It gave you direction. It gave you a gravity that no surface-level strategy can replicate. So stand in that gravity now. Stand with the knowing that you are already enough. Stand with the certainty that you have already won, not because you arrived, but because you refuse to abandon yourself on the journey. This is your power. The power of someone who has mastered the invisible. The power of someone who has made peace with the pace of becoming. The power of someone who no longer lives to prove, but to pour. So pour your wisdom, pour your calm, pour your truth into a world that desperately needs an example of what slow and steady really looks like. Show them that you don't have to rush to be relevant. Show them that you don't have to be loud to be legendary. Show them that you don't have to be seen to be significant. Because when you lead with patience, you lead with presence. And presence, true presence, is the rarest, most radiant form of power on this earth. So walk out of here with your head high and your soul grounded. Move with grace, speak with soul, build with faith, and live like your timing has never been off. Because now you know the truth that few discover. The fastest way to get there is to go slow enough to bring your whole self with you. And when you do that, when you master patience in a fast-paced world, you don't just reach your destiny. You expand it. You stretch it far beyond what you once imagined. You expand your capacity to receive, to create, to hold everything you used to believe was out of reach. Because now, your life isn't moving at the speed of Panis, it's moving at the frequency of power. Power that doesn't scream, it resonates. Power that doesn't crash through Dorset, calls doors open. Power that isn't fueled by fear, but by the quiet certainty of a soul no longer at war with time. You've become that rare force. The one who holds peace in a world that pushes chaos. The one who doesn't just talk purpose, but walks it slowly, intentionally, unshakably. And the best part? This isn't the end of your story, it's the beginning of a new one. A chapter not written by speed or pressure, but by presence and persistence. A story defined not by how fast you achieved, but by how deeply you lived. Because your success won't be measured by what you gained, but by what you grew. Not by how many steps you took, but by how many you took with meaning. Not by how many people followed you, but by how many were freed because you first freed yourself from the race. So walk now not as someone still seeking, but as someone who has become. Walk like a quiet revolution. Walk like the rhythm of peace in a hurried world. Walk like someone who knows that your power was never in the pace, but in the patience. And as the world spins faster, remember, you do not have to. You've mastered the art of waiting without wasting, becoming without begging, trusting without trembling. And now you carry what the world has forgotten. A soul synced to truth, a heart loyal to process, a spirit immune to rush. You carry the art of patience, and wherever you go now, you bring time with you.